Hello PyGotham, my name is Pandy Knight and I'm the Automation Panda. Today, let's talk about Playwright. Modern web apps are incredibly rich in features, which means they have several points of failure that need test coverage. Playwright is a relatively new browser automation tool from Microsoft that can help us write awesome tests for our modern web apps. It can work with Django apps, Flask apps, Fast API apps, React, Angular, Vue, basically whatever kind of web apps you have. Playwright can perform any kind of interaction with the browser, such as clicking elements and scraping text. It provides built-in weighting for all of its interactions, so you don't need to worry about flaky tests as much. It also runs super fast, much faster than other browser automation tools like Selenium and Cypress. And the best part is that you can use it in Python. So, let's learn how to automate awesome web tests in Python with Playwright and pytest.
To set up Playwright, we will need to install the Playwright package. Playwright also has a pytest plugin that provides helpful fixtures and command line options. You'll definitely want to use it. Then we need to install the browser projects. Playwright takes a unique approach to browsers. Instead of testing full browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and Safari, it tests the corresponding browser engines: Chromium, Firefox, Gecko, and WebKit. Thankfully, Playwright manages its browsers for us. All we need to do is run playwright install. This command will need to download hundreds of megabytes, so it might take a while if you have a slow internet connection and you're running this command for the first time. Also, note that Playwright can test the full browsers of Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge using something known as browser channels. Playwright takes a unique approach to browser setup. Instead of launching a new browser instance for each test, it uses one browser instance for all the tests in a suite. Each test then creates a unique browser context within the browser instance, which is like an incognito session within the browser. It is very fast to create and destroy, much faster than a full browser instance. One browser instance may simultaneously have multiple contexts. Each context keeps its own cookies and session storage, so contexts are independent of each other. Each context may also have multiple pages or tabs open at any given time. Contexts also enable scalable parallel execution. We could easily run tests in parallel with the same browser instance because each context is isolated. Let's come up with a simple web test to automate with Playwright. Here is a demo bank app from Applitools, hosted at demo.applitools.com. We can create a basic login test that follows the arrange act assert pattern. The arrange step is to load this page. The act step is to perform login by entering a username and password and then clicking sign in. For this app, any username and password will work. The assert step is to verify that all the expected elements appear on the app's main page. This will be the most complicated part because there are so many elements to check. It always helps to manually run a web test before trying to automate it. All right, let's automate this login test. Create a new module under the tests directory called test_ui.py. Inside this module, add the following import statements. We'll need to create a new test function. Give it some markers as well. Our test function will need to call the page fixture, which is provided by the Playwright plugin for pytest. That's a lot of P's. In Playwright, pretty much all interactions happen through a page object, like this. For the arrange step, we'll need to call page.goto, with the target URL. This call will load the page. For the act step, we'll need to interact with the elements on the page. In Playwright, we call page.locator with a selector to locate the target element. And then we call interaction methods like fill and click once those elements have been located. Playwright will automatically wait for elements to be ready before sending these interactions to them. Proper waiting eliminates flakiness in the automation. Now, we won't cover web element locators, but if you want to learn how to do it right, check out one of my TAU courses, Web Element Locator Strategies. For our assert step, we need to check that the main page loaded correctly. Now, if you remember, the main page had several elements. In theory, we could try to explicitly check every single one of them, but that would be very tedious to develop. It would make the test susceptible to breaking if any of those elements changed. So instead, let's pick a few of the most important elements on the page and make sure that they are visible. Playwright uses the expect function to perform assertions instead of Python's standard assert command. Why? Using expect will make the assertions wait for elements to be ready before checking them. These are called web-first assertions. And just like for element interactions, their built-in waiting makes tests less susceptible to flakiness. Playwright also provides several assertion methods for both elements and the page itself, such as the toBeVisible method. We could write more assertions to check other things, but you get the idea of how to do it from the examples here. Let's also not forget that we need to add our 2 new markers to the pytest.ini file. And that's our web test. Let's run it to make sure it works. We'll use the standard python-m pytest command to run it. And I'll also add the path to the new test module, so we run only this test. And just like that, the test passed. Even for a web test, you can see it was pretty quick. By default, Playwright will run tests headlessly on Chromium. If we want to see our test run, we can add the -- headed option to the command line. We can also add the -- slow-mo option with a millisecond value to force automation to pause after each interaction. This makes tests easier to watch as they execute in headed mode. Nice.
Web testing may seem intimidating at first, but with modern tools like Playwright, they turn out to be just like any other kinds of functional tests. Just be mindful of how many web tests you automate. Even though Playwright is fast, web tests are notoriously slow. Their execution time depends primarily on the application under test. More tests means longer test cycles, as well as more maintenance. Now, Playwright offers several cool features that we couldn't cover here today. For example, you can use the code generator to record scripts rather than coding everything yourself. You can capture trace logs to help see what your tests are actually doing. You can make API calls as well as UI interactions. And you can even do visual testing with the built-in feature or with another visual testing tool like Applitools. If you want to learn more about testing, check out my Introduction to PyTest course on Test Automation University. In that course, I teach how to automate tests like a champion, and one of the chapters is all about Playwright. So, that's all for now. Thanks for joining my session. Again, my name is Pandy Knight, and I'm the Automation Panda. Happy testing out there.